Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of Ask Coach Marie. I'm Marie O'Neill, founder of Padma Life Coaching and your host on this series. This is the place where you ask a question and I give my unique opinion as a life renewal coach, astrologer, and a past life regression facilitator. Please know that I am not a therapist and I will never tell you what you must do. Each week on Friday, a new video is released with me answering 2 questions from the viewers. In addition to those 2 questions, I talk about various other life renewal topics. Let's go ahead and get started with the questions for this week. Our first question comes from David, who is in San Diego, California. David writes, over the years, I've had lots of success, but I always seem to move on to the next project or goal, and this behavior is beginning to bother me. How can I celebrate my successes and progress? That's a very good question. Thank you for asking it. It's a question that a lot of people have. So many people just move on from one thing to the next without honoring what has been accomplished. And the reason for this, of course, can be varied, but usually it's just because of the pace of our lives, because we're actually so busy these days. We just have one thing to do right after another. And you are correct. It's important to actually celebrate the successes because, number one, that motivates us. It gives us a sense of accomplishment, and it actually celebrates what we have done, and this benefits our entire being. Now, there are a few ways, there's actually a lot of ways that you can celebrate. But one of the things that you want to do is if you know you have a project that is going to come to an end and you know approximately when it's going to come to an end, you can set up a celebration of the success of that project ahead of time so that it's actually on your calendar. You can do this, of course, with friends, with family, with colleagues, all of that. You can set up a lunch, you can go to dinner, you can do various things to celebrate. So this is one of the things that you can do. You can also celebrate on your own, taking yourself out to dinner or lunch, or taking yourself on a vacation, or buying yourself something in honor of what it is you have accomplished. Another thing that you can do is just sit and take it all in. Spend a day or an hour or however long you can, just sit and take in the accomplishments and also what you learned. You can write. Journaling is a good way to do it, or you can just run it through your mind. I do like journaling, however, because in the future, years from now, you can come back and read that journal and just look at what you've accomplished. This is a way to boost your self-esteem too, actually celebrating your successes. So please figure out what works for you with celebrating. But by all means, do celebrate. Plan something ahead of time. Even if you're not able to plan it, stop whatever it is you're going to move on to, at least for an hour or two, to honor whatever it is you've actually accomplished. So yes, I hope that answers your question. Please comment below and let me know if this helped. All right, we are going to talk about the 4 directions today, which happens to be one of my favorite topics. There's actually 10 directions. Meaning we have all the 4 major directions and we have, which are the cardinal directions, and we have the directions in between, say northwest, southwest, northeast, and so forth. There is also up and down, above and below. And this is in most of our Native American traditions, and most of our traditional indigenous traditions honor all of the directions. The major directions, however, as I said, are the cardinal directions. My intention today is to just give you a brief overview of each of these directions. And then in videos that are to come, I will talk about each of the directions in a bit more detail. The reason that it is important to know the different directions is because this is how the universe speaks to us, or at least it's one of the ways that the universe speaks to us, through nature. and through the directions. For example, if you have a particular question or if you're getting ready to start something brand new, then you may see a sign or symbol coming to you from the east, because the east is the place of new beginnings. There's an animal associated with each of these directions too. There's also a color and a sound. So for the eastern direction, you're looking at the eagle. If you live in places where you have eagles flying, you may actually see them flying in the east. But if you see an eagle, you know it's coming from a new beginning. It's a message from spirit. The east is the place where the sun rises. No matter where we live on this world, the east is where the sun rises. So this is a new beginning, a new start to a project, a new start to the day, a new start to a situation. And the color is yellow, by the way. So that's the east. When we move from the east, we move to the south. Now, if you notice, I'm moving in a clockwise direction because that's important, to move in a clockwise direction, because we're moving towards something. We're not undoing. If we're going to undo something or want to undo something, we move in a counterclockwise direction. That's, of course, a topic for another video too, which I'll definitely do. The southern area is, of course, the color yellow, and it is related to innocence and purity. It's the place of children. It's the place of humility. When you see something, a sign or symbol in the southern direction, you know that it's important for you to be humble, for you to be open, for you to be trusting of the universe. The animal is the mouse, because it is trusting, it is innocent. And so that's the southern direction. Moving on to the next cardinal direction, which is opposite east, is west. So if the east is new beginnings, then the west is introspection, because it's endings too. It's associated with looks within, with the beautiful shell woman, who is one of the Native American goddesses. It's the bear, because it's about hibernation. When you have a symbol in the West, it's telling you that you need to contemplate, that you need to go within. You need to spend time alone figuring out the answer, because the answer is not exterior to you, it is interior. It's asking you to just get quiet. So that's the west. And then when we move to the north, that's the place of spirit. The color is white. Oh, by the way, the color for the west is red in some traditions. In some traditions, it's black, but Native American traditions. But when we move to the north, we're looking at spirit. When you see a symbol coming from the north, you know that you're getting a message either directly from spirit, meaning the divine, or you're getting a message from your ancestors, because they live in the north. Remember, the north is cold. It is the dead of winter. It's the place of the white buffalo. And so when you get a message there, you know that you're getting support. It's also a place of death, which means that it's a place of endings. But typically, when you see something in the north, a symbol in the north, you know that you're getting support from spirit. So that's the 4 directions. Send me an email and let me know what you think about the 4 directions. If you use them, how you use them, I'd love to hear. Let's go ahead and get going with the second question for today. Our second question comes from Aaron, who is in Denver, Colorado. Aaron writes, I have an obsessive behavior with certain things that I would like to stop. How do I break unhealthy habits like smoking, excessive alcohol consumption, and unhealthy eating? That's a really good question, Aaron. Thank you. When we want to stop doing something that is unhealthy for us, sometimes it becomes a huge challenge to actually keep the momentum going. It's easy to start living in a more healthy way. It's much harder to continue it. To gain success, there's a couple of things you need to do. 1, look for groups that can support you. Groups or places where people are doing their best to stop drinking, places where people are trying to stop smoking. The reason that I say that is because you get help and support from people who are actually dealing with the same issues that you are. Another thing that you can do if you live alone or you live with someone who doesn't have this behavior, you can take the items outside of the house so that you don't have them in your immediate vicinity. That's always going to help you. Now, if you are living with someone who has that obsessive behavior and they don't want to stop, then it becomes much more of a challenge for you to actually stop. That doesn't mean that you can't. It just means that you have to find other ways to change your behavior while living in the household with someone who isn't going to change their behavior. This is where, as I said, the groups can help. You can always go to friends for support, but you really do need support. Another thing that you can do is you can enlist the help of an acupuncturist who will help you with the cravings. You can talk or go to someone who is a hypnotist. There are hypnotists who specialize in helping people to stop behaviors that aren't healthy for them. So check around in your area, in your neighborhood, in your community to see if there's someone there who can help you with this. You can journal. You have to pay attention to your emotions and what your triggers are too when you want to stop doing something. So when you have a trigger and you figure out what those triggers are, you'll have to find ways to circumvent the triggers, meaning finding other ways to work with those triggers rather than picking up the cigarettes or alcohol or eating, and work with the triggers and find other ways to navigate. You also might want to reach out to a psychologist or a coach because they can also help you with the behavior. So I hope this helps. Please send me a note or comment below letting me know how you are getting on. Thank you everyone for listening to these videos. I really appreciate it. If you haven't already, like and subscribe to the station. That is going to help this video and all the other videos get out there for other people who also need the help. Send your questions to padmacoach@icloud.com. That's padmacoach@icloud.com. If you want to learn more about the services I offer, check out my website, padmalifecoaching.com. If you'd like to learn more about me and how I became a coach in my life, check out my book, And the Lotus Opened, a memoir. It can be found online through any of the online bookstores, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Walmart, Target, and a few others where you can actually find it. All right. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I will see you back here next week. Bye-bye.